Hi everyone, I'm an American man with a beard, here to review the new Lucky Old Sun record, Belle, Époque. Lucky Old Sun is a two-piece, I believe, Japanese indie pop band from Tokyo that like to combine modern indie pop with kind of American folk and country music and the kind of 70s era Japanese city pop and folk rock. This is their second full-length album, though this is my first run-in with them. I came across their song Sayonara Skyline on YouTube. It has a very kind of kitschy, hipster video that doesn't take itself too seriously. And I really liked the song. I thought it was really fun, and it's actually the first track on here, so I guess let's get right into it. Sayonara Skyline starts with a pretty upbeat rhythm section, some acoustic guitars going on, a nice kind of plodding, mellow rhythm, and a very catchy lead guitar line that grabs you immediately. The guitar gives way for some female vocals that are fairly soft and lead the song from here on out, though the guitar never really leaves. It's constantly noodling in the background, it's constantly doing something interesting. There's always something to listen to that the guitar is doing that kind of complements what the vocals are doing. There are, however, these bustling conga drums in the background that I feel kind of disrupt the mellow feeling that the rest of the song is providing. It's just a bit too busy, but they are so kind of faint in the background that it is easy to overlook. The melody work and all the songwriting on here is really great. The song is really succinct, it's nicely packaged and produced and performed really well. And every melody, every little bit of melody and harmony has something worthwhile in it. There's something worth kind of humming to yourself in the shower in every little aspect of this song. With the exception of the synthesizer, which is there mostly just to add some harmonic content, but is so loud in the mix and so bright sounding that it really dominates the song when it is on, but it only shows up in a few parts. And overall, this is just a really solid guitar-driven indie pop song. There's a lot of really great songwriting and melody stuff here. Like I said, there are some issues I have with it. I think the conga drums are a bit much, and the synthesizers could be toned down a bit, but overall this is a really solid start to this album. And the next song, Bayside Street, continues the theme of well-written guitar-based pop songs, though with a somewhat slower feel to it. The song really kind of sways as these two guitars in either ear kind of trade off throughout the song. The dual guitars play off of each other really well without getting in the way of the vocals, which lead us down this kind of meandering melody into a chorus that is really memorable and catchy and relaxing. The song is just pleasant on all fronts. It has some really soft organ in the background, and the song feels just like a big kind of like a deep, relaxed breath. Unfortunately, though, not every track on here is as blissful as Bayside Street. Track 4, Shashin, is a good example of this. It starts off with this distorted riff in 5/4 time over a 4/4 drum part that just feels really out of place and kind of just thrown onto the song when immediately after that riff it just drops into their more normal kind of folky indie pop with acoustic guitars and soft female vocals. This song is actually one of the softer tracks, which makes it all the more jarring when we get these kind of sudden stabs of these really distorted lead guitars. The song feels only halfway done. It is well produced and well performed, but writing-wise, it feels somewhat clumsy. As we get into the second half of the album, though, things really start to pick up and get pretty consistently good. Track 6, Suvamay, starts off with this kind of bombastic in comparison to the soft acoustic track that preceded it, honky-tonk melody intro that leads us into what is basically just a country song. It's got banjo and mandolin in the background, and it has a very plodding country rhythm that emphasizes beats 1 and 3, and it has a little bit of a swing to it. The honky-tonk stays with us throughout, though we do also get some nice melodic guitars. And Lucky Old Sun managed to pull off this American country sound pretty convincingly without losing the thread of Japanese indie pop, which gives this album its cohesion. The next track, I Want You Baby, maintains a little bit of that country feel, but tones it down a bit for a soft, ballady piano and acoustic guitar-led duet with female and male vocals. It has one of the best choruses on here as well, and this song is just infectiously charming. But it's on the 8th track, Suzurandori, that makes me finally realize what makes this album work so well. And that's that it just feels live. The incredibly lively and constantly moving and somewhat improvised feeling performances from a lot of the instrumentation, especially the guitars, and the lack of any vocal overdubbing or any amount of instrumentation that couldn't be played by just a small band, with the exception of the strings that show up on a couple of songs. This really feels like a live album, but with just really slick studio production. Suzurandori is a song that is in no rush to go anywhere. It is happy to kind of meander around and noodle, like it's kind of a constant guitar solo over a pop song. And the song is completely content to feel like nothing more than a jam session, despite how organized and clearly composed it is. And that's what I think is the real brilliance of this album. They've managed to strike this kind of exact middle ground between having this really slick, nice pop style studio production and the feeling of a live show with what seems like improvised guitar parts kind of constantly noodling and a really tight rhythm section that holds all these songs together. And I feel like I've kind of jumped the gun by talking about that before talking about the last song, but I mean, the last song is also great. It's called Tokyo City Brand New Day, and it's a really chilled out, kind of tropical sounding, kind of pop rock track. It's got a lot of guitar noodling, a really tight rhythm section with some brush snares. It's got some accordion going on, and the whole song really feels like a early 70s Hosono Haruomi track, which is a big plus for me, as I think he's one of the best songwriters of all time. There's a really nice trumpet solo on here, and there's these little touches of chromaticism in the melody, little hints of jazz that give it that kind of Haruomi Hosono tropical feel. And the song is just really solid on all fronts. It's got a really great chorus, some really catchy melodies, tight rhythm section, and what more can I say? I think the song is a really good ending to the album. It closes it out well, and it's super mellow, super chill. It's just a relaxing, easy track. And this is a pretty relaxing, easy album. And I appreciate that they chose to take this kind of route for the end of the album, as opposed to the all too common kind of putting the emotional ballad at the end or something. Like, I like that they put Tokyo City Brand New Day at the end instead of I Want You Baby, even though they're both great tracks. So yeah, this album manages to maintain a kind of live atmosphere and this kind of improvised feeling, while also having very clean, slick pop production. And there's really great performances on here all around. It's a really solid pop album that I find to be thoroughly enjoyable from front to back, with fairly few complaints. I'm feeling an 8 out of 10 on this thing. If you are into indie pop, I highly recommend you check this out, and I'm going to be digging into what these guys have done in the past. I haven't listened to any of Lucky Old Sun's early stuff, and after hearing how great this album is, I'm really curious to check it out. So yeah, give this album a listen if you are into catchy guitar-driven indie pop with a little bit of a country and folk tinge to it. And I'll see you guys next week. Peace.